Hey everybody, Miss Lottie Da here, and today we are going to be doing day 38 in the 40-day to get back to you, living true. So let's go ahead and begin. Today's title is Where You're Going Has Purpose. The Lord will fulfill his purpose for me. Psalm 138:8. I've prayed a lot of desperate prayers in my life. God, what are you doing? Where are you? Do you see me? From cleaning messes out of a swimming pool to speaking to an audience of one in an auditorium set for 500, many times I've wondered what God was doing. I've felt lost, rejected, aimless, and invisible. And yet Romans 8:28 reminds us that in all things God works for the good of those who love him and who have been called according to his purpose. The story of Tamar in Genesis 38 is a perfect example of this. Tamar was married to a man named Judah's eldest son. Was terrible. He was so awful, in fact, that God killed him. Crazy, I know. Well, Jewish custom at the time stated that if a man died without a son, his widow would marry his next oldest brother, and their firstborn son would carry on the family name for the dead brother. So Judah instructed his younger son, Onan, to sleep with Tamar. Also crazy and gross. However, Onan was terrible as well. He knew their firstborn wouldn't be his according to Jewish tradition. So he followed his father's instructions by sleeping with Tamar, technically, but he avoided the part where he was supposed to get her pregnant. God wasn't pleased, so he killed him too. I know, this is insane. So by this point, Judah thinks Tamar is cursed. Every time she's with one of his sons, they die. He has one more son, Shelah. But Judah resists giving him to Tamar because he's afraid Shelah will die too. Talk about being dealt a rough hand of cards. Tamar had to marry this terrible man, Then she's robbed of her opportunity to have a son by Onan. And now she's just being ignored entirely. But Tamar doesn't give up. She's determined to fulfill her role by producing a son in the line of Judah. We might not understand this today, but it was a very big honor and responsibility back then. So when Judah's wife passes away, Tamar gets an idea. Tamar knows there's one more way to carry on the line of Judah, to have a son by the man himself. This is her chance. She conceals her identity, dresses like a prostitute, and waits on the side of the road for him to pass by. When he does, he approaches her and she sleeps with him. She takes his staff, seal, and cord as payment and leaves. Later, when she's back home and pregnant, she's accused of prostitution. But she shows Judah his 3 items and reveals that he is the one who got her pregnant. He releases her from her death sentence, and she later gives birth to twins, Perez and Zerah. What a crazy story! How could any of that be good or have purpose to it? When you look at Tamar's life, you see a lot of injustice, disappointment, and sin. And yet, Tamar and Judah are in the lineage of Jesus. This is the genealogy of Jesus, the Messiah, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham was the father of Isaac. Isaac, the father of Jacob. Jacob, the father of Judah and his brothers. Judah, the father of Perez and Zerah, whose mother was Tamar. Matthew 1:1-2-3. In fact, Tamar is one of only 5 women mentioned in the lineage of Jesus, an incredible fact at that time. Tamar, is an amazing example of how God can and will work all things together for his purposes. Some of those purposes we see in hindsight, and other times we never know why. What we do know is that God is taking you somewhere, and that place has purpose. You don't have to feel aimless or abandoned. Whether you're cleaning out a pool or crying in your car or just feeling lost and invisible, know that God has a purpose for you. He's working out right now. Even if you can't see it or feel it, he knows. He sees you, and he will fulfill his purposes for you. The Lord will fulfill his purposes for me. Psalm 138:8. Reflection and prayer. What did you think of Tamar's story? Is it hard to imagine God would use such unlikely circumstances to bring the Messiah into the world? How can this passage give you comfort when you feel purposeless? Spend some time in prayer today, asking God to remind you that He can and will fulfill His purposes for you. And while you're at it, be sure to thank Him for them. All right, that's going to do it for today's lesson. I am so excited that you watched this video and you listened to this story with me. I can't believe that we are approaching day 39 and then day 40. It's crazy how fast this time has gone by. And I am so glad that I got to share it with all of you, whoever is watching. So this is Miss Lottie Daw saying ta-ta for now, and God bless.